Honorable Bernard Makosa, former Prime Minister and former President of the Senate, the Executive Director and the Minister of National Unity and Civic Engagement in charge of memory and genocide prevention, who is our special guest of honor today, their family members of our fallen colleagues in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, First Vice President of Ibuka, the representative of the Victims Association, Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, senior government representatives present, all our friends and colleagues from private sector, civil society, and other parts of society, my colleagues, heads of UN agencies, my colleagues of the UN family, including those who are currently serving, those who are retired, and those who are serving in other countries apart from Rwanda, some of whom I see here, my colleagues from development partner organizations and civil society, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mrire Neza. 7th April 2024 marked the solemn occasion of the 30th commemoration event in honor of over 1 million victims of the genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi in 1994, and marked the start of the 100 days commemoration in the country. Today, 30th April 2024, the United Nations family in Rwanda is remembering its own, our own staff who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi under the same theme: remember, unite, renew. We gather here today to remember and to pay tribute to those who lost their lives in one of the darkest chapters of human history. So please allow me to extend our sincerest gratitude and admiration to the government and people of Rwanda, represented here by our esteemed guest of honor, Madame Veneranda Ingabire, Executive Director in charge of Memory and Genocide Prevention, and Minibumwe. Your presence at this event represents the testament of this resilience and determination of the people of Rwanda, that through the visionary leadership and unwavering commitment in the country, Rwanda has emerged from the shadows of its tragic past and embarked on a trajectory of development that serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration, not only for our continent, but for the world at large. But most importantly, I want to extend our deepest appreciation to the families of our beloved colleagues who tragically lost their lives. Today, as we gather to commemorate their memory, we stand in solidarity with you. The mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, family members who continue to carry the weight of their absence. Together, let us honor the lives that were taken from us. But let us reflect on the immense suffering and, at the same time, unwavering resilience of those who survived. Your strength and courage inspire all of us, and we are forever indebted to you for your sacrifice and your perseverance. Additionally, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the ambassadors and heads of diplomatic missions and representatives from international organizations for joining us on this solemn occasion of commemoration. Your presence is a poignant reminder of our shared commitment as an international community to the principles and values of the United Nations. Thank you for standing in solidarity with us as we honor the memory of those who lost their lives during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Excellencies, colleagues, family members, 30 years ago, the world witnessed unspeakable atrocities as Rwanda was engulfed in a genocide that claimed the lives of over 1 million innocent men, women, and children. Among the victims were brave United Nations staff members who dedicated their lives to promoting peace, human rights, and development in Rwanda. And today, And in fact, every day we must honor the memory of the UN staff members who perished during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Those of us who join the United Nations do so for a purpose. The desire to be part of social change and national transformation, the desire to champion the cause of the vulnerable and the weak, and to support governments and national stakeholders in their journey to transformation are part of the motivations for wanting to join the United Nations system. You would therefore assume that those who join share the same values and aspirations. It is therefore very saddening to learn that some of those we honor today were killed by the machinations of their own colleagues, some of their colleagues. Those they saw every day, said hello to them, and sometimes drank tea with them. Such people who did those acts do not belong to the United Nations family. We condemn their actions in every material particular. While they schemed on how to kill their own colleagues, there were other colleagues who took food to those who were in hiding, who helped move them from place to place as their places of hiding became risky, and who made valiant efforts to also rescue them. The stories of these other people who tried to help and save their colleagues have never been told. And so I want to use this opportunity to testify to their own brave acts and to acknowledge and salute them, brave UN civilian and military observer staff. We know that the United Nations as an institution can engage in only administrative procedure against its own errant staff members. And the much it can do when they're engaged in criminal acts is to waive their diplomatic immunity. This collective failure of the international community, that when some of those who were responsible for the death of their families were found in different countries around the world, that there was a failure to hold them to account and to prosecute, has added to the re-traumatization of the victims. And us as a United Nations system have learned our own lessons about the importance of moving timely to shed the cloth of diplomatic protection with which such people can or may try to surround themselves. 30 years ago, so let us then remember each name we see here that was read out to us and that is captured on that memorial wall as they represent the lives of cherished members of our UN family. They were not just colleagues, they were sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters. Let us hold their faces and their contribution to society close to our hearts, ensuring that their legacies live on through our actions and our remembrance. Let us unite. And here I echo the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. His remarks during the International Day of Reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, when he stated, and I quote, 3 decades later, the verbal violence of hate speech is still all around us. Nowadays, divisive and dangerous ideologies are delivered through the global megaphone of social media. But the vile messages remain all too familiar. Racism, misogyny, lies, anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim bigotry, stigmatization, discrimination, and the outright denial or even glorification of past genocides, including the Holocaust and the genocide against the Tutsi, proliferate. The global community must stand as one against this torrent of hate speech and denounce it wherever it is found. Let us renew. We must also stand together in a renewed global push to ratify and fully implement the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, while strengthening prevention mechanisms, educating new generations about past genocides, and countering the mis- and disinformation that fuels hate speech and genocidal intent and action. End of quote. Let us renew our commitment to work together. In the aftermath of the genocide against the Tutsi, as the United Nations, we embarked on a journey of reflection and action. We recognize that the international community failed to prevent or effectively respond to the genocide, and we acknowledge our collective responsibility to prevent such horrors from ever happening again. And so, since those dark and difficult days, the United Nations has remained steadfast in its support for Rwanda's recovery and reconciliation efforts. We have worked hand in hand with the government and the people of Rwanda to rebuild communities, strengthen institutions, and promote peace and stability. We are also well aware that intergenerational trauma remains, and there is a critical need to prioritize the well-being of the youth. I am heartened to witness the resilience and determination of the young Rwandans I encounter every day, both within our UN family and beyond. Their unwavering commitment to their country's future is a testament to Rwanda's strength and resilience. The United Nations acknowledges that unity and social cohesion are fundamental prerequisites for economic transformation, not only in Rwanda, but also in communities worldwide. We remain steadfast in our commitment to supporting development projects and initiatives that foster social healing and reconciliation. Collaborating closely with Minubumwe, we are dedicated to providing capacities, resources, and expertise and data to promote reconciliation and social cohesion. Additionally, we will continue to work alongside communities to support grassroots social healing efforts, recognizing the invaluable role that local initiatives play in fostering lasting peace and understanding. So today, Executive Director, Excellencies, family members, my dear colleagues, let us reaffirm our commitment to building a future where the youth of Rwanda and beyond can thrive in a society marked by unity, compassion, and mutual respect. And that brings me to my next point. As we pause to reflect on the past, we must also look to the future. The lessons learned from the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi are a stark reminder of the consequences of hatred, intolerance, discrimination, and indifference. So we must remain vigilant in confronting the root causes of conflict and addressing the underlying drivers of violence. During the official commemoration event on 7th of April this year, I listened attentively to His Excellency, President Paul Kagame, talk about the loneliness and longing for loved ones that descendants struggle with, for family members they will never meet, and the impossible burden of reconciliation that survivors are carrying. If one has not experienced mass violence, it is very difficult to understand or appreciate the price of reconciliation. Very often, it is the victim who pays the price of reconciliation, of being asked to make the perpetrator welcome in society again, of being asked to forgo their pain and injury to avoid the cycle of revenge, and so that the outside world can comfort itself that its acts of indifference have been forgiven, if not forgotten. it serves us well to remember that reconciliation is a journey as well as a process. As a process, it has its milestones, such as the composition of unity governments, the distribution of offices among political groups and stakeholders, the establishment of new institutions and mechanisms that eschew and prevent discrimination and ensure the rule of law. As a journey, it is deeply personal and cannot be legislated or forced. Advice and injunctions of state organs and international actors are not enough. Each citizen and each community walks its own journey to reconciliation. The return and reintegration of perpetrators is symbolic of the direction that a country wants to travel. But we need to be understanding and patient in letting individuals and communities walk their respective journeys. There is no end to the journey to reconciliation. For some, it takes a few years. For others, it is intergenerational. This recognition must challenge a different level of understanding and empathy on the part of international actors. So long as Rwandans feel unsafe and threatened, for so long will their journeys to reconciliation be deferred. By converse, if they feel safe in their neighborhoods, then their journeys to reconciliation will be accelerated. And so today, I want to reaffirm the statement made by His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, who came here 20 years ago during the 20th anniversary of Kwibuka. He came here in person, and he reaffirmed the core principles that we represent as staff of the United Nations. And on behalf of my colleagues in the United Nations system in Rwanda, I want to reaffirm the same. We commit as a United Nations family, and to the families of our deceased members, but to the government and the people of Rwanda, that we will do our utmost and continue to contribute to promoting social cohesion, healing, and reconciliation in Rwanda. And we will hold ourselves accountable to the highest standard of conduct as international civil servants. This is also reflective in the message of our Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, on the day of reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And I'd like to quote again. We will never forget the horrors of these terrible 100 days, but we need our collective voice and activism to keep alive the memory of those who were killed and to call out hatred wherever we hear or see it, in our cities, towns, and neighborhoods, in schools and institutions, online, anywhere and everywhere. Let us all push back against hatred and intolerance wherever we find it. End of quote. Going forward, let us reaffirm our commitment to the principles of humanity, solidarity, and justice. Let us strive to build a world where every individual can live free from fear and persecution, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, or nationality. The UN in Rwanda reiterates our strong commitment to continue our excellent partnership with the government and people of Rwanda in not only fighting against genocide, denialism, but also in contributing to peace and reconciliation to the Rwanda we want and the Rwanda we deserve. The UN in Rwanda joins you in this solemn period of remembrance with continued but renewed commitment to support national efforts that build peace and promote unity and social cohesion. We owe this much to our fallen colleagues. We owe it to Rwanda and Rwandan people, and we owe it to ourselves. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Mwarakoze cyane.